everybody, Sarah here. Thank you so much for tuning into this video. If you are new here, welcome, and thank you so much for tuning into this video. I upload faith-based teaching videos every single Wednesday, and we talk about prayer, Bible study tips, we go through books of the Bible, we talk about dating, singleness, marriage, all that good stuff. And ultimately my goal is simply to push you closer in your walk with the Lord. So consider subscribing down below. So we've been going through a series on women of the word, and we've been going through 3 women in the Old Testament. We talked about Esther and we talked about Rahab, and this week we are talking about Proverbs 31. Can't do a series on womanhood and not go there, right? So I'm really excited about it, and I pray that you all learn a couple things, that you apply some things, and that it ultimately, again, brings you closer to Christ, right? So I'm just gonna go ahead and jump right on in. I'm going to read, then I'm going to go into the 3 points that I want to highlight through this passage. So starting at verse 10, it says, "An excellent wife, who can find? She is far more precious than jewels." And let me just stop right there and just go ahead and say, ladies, you need to understand your worth, okay? You are more precious and worth more than jewels. They're a rarity, and because they're rare, they're expensive. You just can't go to any regular old jeweler and find the most expensive, the rarest jewel, because they're rare and everybody's not going to carry them. Everybody is not equipped to house them. So if you understand that you're worth more than a jewel, that you're precious, then you need to get with somebody who understands that you're precious and that's going to care for you as if you're precious, that's going to see you as precious and therefore treat you as such. Because if you have the most precious jewel, you're going to treasure that thing. You're going to protect it. You're going to care for it properly. You're not going to just wear it out to the beach for you to lose it or whatever the case may be, because it was expensive. That thing came with a cost, and you value it. You want to be with somebody who values you and understands your worth in Jesus Christ. Okay, I just had to stop real quick and say that. Verse 11 says, "The heart of her husband trusts in her, and he will have no lack of gain. She does him good and not harm all the days of her life. She seeks wool and flax and works with willing hands. She is like the ships of the merchant. She brings her food from afar. She rises while it is yet night and provides food for her household and portions for her maidens. She considers a field and buys it. With the fruit of her hands, she plants a vineyard. She dresses herself with strength and makes her arms strong. She perceives that her merchandise is profitable. Her lamp does not go out at night. She puts her hands to the distaff, and her hands hold the spindle. She opens her hand to the poor and reaches out her hands to the needy. She is not afraid of snow for her household, for all her household are clothed in scarlet. She makes bed coverings for herself. Her clothing is fine linen and purple. Her husband is known in the gates when he sits among the elders of the land. She makes linen garments and sells them. She delivers sashes to the merchant. Strength and dignity are her clothing, and she laughs at the time to come. She opens her mouth with wisdom, and the teaching of kindness is on her tongue. She looks well to the ways of her household and does not eat the bread of idleness. Her children rise up and call her blessed. Her husband also, and he praises her. Many women have done excellently, but you surpass them all. Charm is deceitful, and beauty is vain, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. Give her of the fruit of her hands, and let her works praise her in the gates." So I want to free some of my sisters. So many of us have been pressured, or we feel as if we have to be a Proverbs 31 woman, or we're not godly enough, or we're not living up to standard, or something to that extent, right? We feel like we're not a capable wife, or we're not capable of, or we're not marriage material. Because the interesting thing about this passage is, first and foremost, is that it's a poem. Can we just start there? And no one woman is expected to exhibit all of these qualities and all these characteristics and live this out to a T. Because when you read this passage, you can see traits of an entrepreneur and a businesswoman, and God has not called every single woman or every single person to be an entrepreneur, to be in business. So you can go ahead and free yourself, sis, from that. You are not expected to live this out exactly. Yes, there are things that we can learn from this. There are things that we can apply in this. And that's the goal of this. Like, be free. be free from that. Like, this is not meant for you to live it out exactly. So the person described in this, she is married. That does not mean that as a single woman, there aren't things that we can learn from this passage. There aren't things that we can even apply now. And the three things that I want to highlight from this passage is that first and foremost, you need to be a woman who fears the Lord. The woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. That's what this passage says. And I think that's how she was able to be such a woman of noble character, is because she feared the Lord. And out of the overflow of that, birthed out of that, was the fact that she was able to be a woman who spoke wisdom, a woman who spoke kindness, a woman who worked hard, a woman whose family was her first priority. She was ultimately trying to please the Lord in every area of her life, in her business, in her home, in how she spent her time and her money. She ultimately was trying to please the Lord. Second thing that I get from this is that we need to be women of excellent and noble character. So the thing that I love about this passage is that you can see the character of this woman shining through what she does and what she says and even what she wears. So some of the things that I noted while I was going through this is that she was resourceful. She was a helpmeet to her husband, and she worked. Like, sis was not lazy. She worked with her hands. She was smart. She used wisdom. And the thing that's echoed more than one time in this passage is that her family was her first priority. She got up early to make sure that they were taken care of, and her maidens. Like, she didn't just go out here and start, doing business and her kids are hungry. Her family was her first priority. And another thing that I noticed is that she's not selfish. She extends to the poor. She helps the poor. And something that I know in Western culture that we are guilty of is that, yes, it's great to give financially to those who are in need, but are we actually reaching out our hand? Are we physically helping them in some way, shape, or form? Not just throwing money at them, but are we showing them that we care? Are we extending the love of Jesus to them? And something else about this woman is that she looks ahead to the future and she's prepared. She's able to laugh because she's already prepared. She doesn't have to worry about if it just snows all of a sudden, or if it's a sudden hurricane or sudden weather or whatever the case may be, because she's already prepared. And the thing that I also love about her is that she speaks words of wisdom, and the teaching of kindness is in her mouth and on her lips. Oh, ladies, what is coming out of our mouth? Are we building up or are we tearing down? Are we popping off at the mouth? What's coming out of our mouth? Women are notorious for having mouths. A lot of us do, some of us don't. Wherever you fall on the spectrum, we want to be mindful of what we're saying out of our mouth, because people are watching and they are listening to us as well. Yes, it's great that you have a great work ethic, but how are you speaking to people? How are you speaking about people? Like, are we imparting wisdom and kindness? Like, can we just go back to the basics? If you don't have nothing nice to say, don't say nothing at all. Okay? If it's not going to actually benefit the person hearing it, then we probably shouldn't be saying it. And the fact that her family praise her, her children, and her husband says a lot about her character. Like, can our families say things like that about us? Can they praise us and it not be a lie? Like, nobody's perfect. But can our families say this about us? Can they say that we're women of excellent character? All throughout this passage, all you see is her character being highlighted. What she did, how she did it, the wisdom that she used, the wisdom that she spoke. All you see is her awesome character. And I want people to see, and for my character to shine through. Nobody's perfect. We know that. That's why we need Jesus. But are we being women of noble character? And the third thing that I get from this, and especially since this is depicting a wife, and whether you're single or even if you're married and you're watching this, what are you bringing to the table of your marriage? And if you're single, bring something to the table. Like, she wasn't just cute, okay? And this passage clearly says that beauty is vain. It's going to pass away. You're not going to always look how you look. And no matter how much you try, your body is just naturally going to age. You know what I'm saying? So we need to be able to bring something to the table. Are you going to actually be a helpmeet? Her husband sat in the gates with the elders. Like, the success of her husband was probably significantly due to her. As women, we're meant to be helpmeets. So what are you doing to help him? How are you going to help him? Are you going to build him up? Or are you going to tear him down? Are you going to just keep calling him names? Are you going to tell him you ain't about nothing? Well, you married him. Like, are you going to be his biggest cheerleader? And again, her family was her first priority, and she won't lazy. Like, what are we bringing to the table? Again, you don't have to be an entrepreneur. You ain't got to do this and do that. But are we being women of noble character? Are we fearing the Lord, and how we live and how we act and how we talk? Is that flowing from our fear of the Lord? So yeah, that's all I had for the Proverbs 31 woman. It wasn't long, it wasn't much, but those were just the 3 things that really stuck out to me that I really want us to take in. It's just to be women who fear the Lord, who have noble, excellent characters, and that we bring something to the table other than a cute face. Like, it's great that you are bad, sis. Like, you was cute, boo-boo. But appearance and the way that you look in your body is not gonna sustain a marriage. So let me know in the comment sections below, what's your favorite verse out of Proverbs 31 and why? So make sure that you like this video, that you share it with your sisters and encourage them and just free them, because so many women just pressure themselves to live that out and they are gonna kill themselves trying to do it. So free them, encourage them with this video, and I pray that it has done that for you all. Make sure that you subscribe down below so that you never miss another video just like this every single Wednesday. Until next week's video, grace and peace.